Camera speed.
Sound production, take one.
Action!
Welcome to the Enter The Fangirls podcast. I'm Sam.
I'm Lexie, and we're two girls with a slight obsession of everything pop culture.
Today we're talking bodies. There's really nothing else to say. That's just what we're doing.
We're really behind on the movie, but it finally came out on digital.
Yeah, so we could actually finally watch it. I couldn't find anyone to go see it with me in theaters, and we'll get into it, but I'm kind of glad I didn't go see it in theaters. I'm glad I didn't pay for it.
Yeah.
Pay overpriced movie ticket prices for this.
Yeah. I will say it's probably the most different A24 film I've seen.
Yeah, that's we'll get into it, but I liked the plot. There were just a lot of things I didn't enjoy.
Yeah. I don't know why I thought this was going to be more sexual than it really was.
Yeah, right?
Just when you're calling something bodies,
you expect some bodies smushing together.
Yeah. I mean, I get it, it's a horror movie and it's a game, but still.
Yeah.
I was expecting some smashing, and I don't think there was any smashing.
Yeah, so I don't really know where we go, if we just go beat by beat or just kind of talk about it. I will say it very much was different from what I was expecting.
That was what I was gonna ask. I was like, did you expect it going into it and as the story progressed for what it was gonna become? Because I had no idea.
No, I feel like the trailer gave me a different vibe than what it was. I did read
a Letterboxd review saying that the trailer did not do the movie justice.
No, the trailer made it seem better than it was, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you.
I actually haven't even rated it, because I don't...
Yeah, I know.
I figured this would help me figure out what I want to rate it, because if I'm being honest, right now I want to give it a 2.5.
That's fair.
But I'm hoping by the end of this I'll see maybe a 3.
Yeah, it took some reflection to get mine up to 3.5.
Yeah. At first it was a 2, and then as it got a little bit better, it got to be a 2.5, but...
Okay. Well,
I expected a lot.
Just discuss the characters, because you right off the bat said you didn't like them, and I knew you weren't going to.
Yeah. No, they sucked, fully.
It took me a while to realize, hold on, let me list the names, that the girlfriend was, Russian, whatever she was.
Yeah.
I didn't realize she had an accent.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out if she was, I didn't know where she was from.
Country, I thought you meant movie. I was wait, she's in something else.
Oh. No.
Bay. And that's also something really annoying. Her name was Bay.
B.
Or B. Bay, B, same thing.
Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if they called her Bay, because I feel like this was meant to be a... Can you hear that plane?
Yeah, I can.
Apologies if you can hear the plane and it's over exerting. I don't really feel like cutting it out. But it felt like this was it's not millennial. We're Gen Z is the new, right?
Gen Z is newer, correct.
Okay. I feel like this was meant to be a Gen Z kind of movie.
Yes.
But it feels like this is 2012, 13 teenagers, not today.
Yeah.
They were very cringy.
No, they were.
And a little too much.
To deal with their social class as well.
Yeah.
I think they were supposed to be annoying rich people, which they did very well.
Yeah. Also, I guess they're 20 something. They acted like they're 16, which really threw me.
Yes. I think they're supposed to be in their 20s.
Yeah.
I'll admit, this was also a background movie for me, so I don't remember a lot of details.
It was a background movie for me too. I was reading during.
So there's some of the backstories I kind of miss. So obviously.
There were backstories?
Well, okay, I think the only backstory.
Why do we have a podcast?
I know. Okay, so Sophie was in rehab.
Yes.
And I think Sophie's more like the reason for her being in rehab came later, and I hope you paid attention a little bit later. Yes. Okay.
I did. Towards like the ending, I actually started paying attention because like it got more interesting.
Yeah.
But
I think the only one I was a little iffy on was Emma and Jordan's like backstory, but Jordan's once again kind of tied in with Sophie's.
Yeah,
Emma.
I kept getting Emma and Alice mixed up a lot. I still don't even like. I paid attention to B's, but like also, it was a lot of information dropped on us at once.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
You know, maybe are there more backstories on Wikipedia?
No.
Bodies. Obviously, I didn't really care about Pete Davidson's character. I'm sorry if anyone actually likes him.
Oh my God, no. Who said he should act? He's so annoying. Yeah, maybe it's just the character, but I could not stand his character. So when he died, I'm like, thank God. I thought we were gonna have to sit through an entire movie of him.
Yes.
Also, the plot of the movie is literally a group of friends play a game, but when someone ends up dead, like everybody turns on each other and everything. I was expecting the bodies thing to actually be when the person is dead. Like when the boyfriend, whatever, was like fake dead on the floor, I thought he was really dead, and that was going to be like the mystery of like, oh my God, we were all playing this game, who killed him?
Okay, yeah, so you thought like the game was like, it actually, like whoever got the X was killing people off.
Yes, and I actually did.
That's what I thought too. So when we were going into that, and then it turned out that was not what was happening, I think that's when I started to lose interest.
Yeah, because I'm like, hey, then what was even the point of having this whole game? Because that didn't... Yeah. That it really didn't tie in much.
I think it had to deal with the overall message of the movie of don't trust your friends.
Yeah, just don't make friends.
Yeah, basically.
Friends are overrated.
Yes. I'm still trying to find like a little thing on characters' backstories, but I'm assuming I don't really need to know any of that because I can't find anything, so that's good. Yeah, so B and Sophie are dating. Sophie went to rehab. Apparently all these girls are lesbian as well. Maybe not Alice, but Emma and Jordan both tried to apparently kiss Sophie.
Yeah, I wanted a little more with the Emma and Sophie thing because that came out of nowhere, and Emma's just like, oh, I thought that's what you wanted. I'm like, what vibe was she giving you that you thought that? Do you have a history?
Yeah. And then was Emma... Okay, I think this was talked about a little bit. Emma and whatever Pete Davidson's character's name is, I don't really care that much.
Is his name David?
Yes, David.
Emma, I think it actually was Pete Davidson playing David.
Yes. Emma and David, I think, were dating for 3 years. I think they said. Jesus. Yeah, when Emma got off, or no, they were fighting at one of these points, and she said something. Sophie said something about that they were dating for 3 years. I forgot what she said. But I felt like I needed to know more about them too.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I just wasn't paying attention to the beginning of the movie during the pool scene.
I also... This is basically just us shitting on bodies.
Yeah, sorry.
My like biggest thing with it was that no one actually felt like they liked each other even remotely.
Yeah.
And, like, I get, like, no one was really excited about Sophie being there, but, like, apparently Sophie and David were supposed to be, like, the best of friends.
Yeah,
and I did
totally
not
get it at all.
No. And I didn't get that vibe with anybody. I didn't even get the vibe of, like, chemistry between Sophie and B, and they're supposed to be in this, like, lovey-dovey relationship.
I think that was just B being really secretive, too, and, like... I guess her backstory was explained a little bit, but I like thought it was a lie the entire time, and I was like waiting for it to be a gotcha moment, and then it wasn't. And maybe like that's what the point was, is to kind of think everyone is lying and what they're saying.
Yeah, I feel like there could have been a lot better setup in all of this.
No, definitely. Did you like any of the characters that like any of them?
I went through a hit and miss phase with Alice.
Okay, same.
Okay, because
like by
she's
the end
the podcast guru that I'm like, yeah, that's us. But she was also a little much at times, but also like she was very campy, I found.
Once again, we all know I love campy shit, so
I also didn't mind Emma, but she died before like I could really.
Yeah. She looks like the girl that plays Lottie in Yellow Jackets, and I was like, the entire movie, if it's the same girl, and I looked it up and it wasn't, and yet I still thought it was the same girl throughout the entire movie.
I will say, acting wise, I think Sophie was the best.
Sophie's done the most.
Yeah, but like also she kind of drove me nuts at times. Like I went through a huge thing where I'm like, oh, I like her, and then I'm like, oh my god, I hate her, and then I'm like, I like her, I hate her. Because she just flip-flops so much.
Yeah.
I'm like, just pick a side.
The rest of the cast, I don't think has really been in much. I don't know about Alice's boyfriend, but I know Alice, the girl that played Alice, she had like a breakout role last year in a movie.
Yeah, because all the Letterboxd reviews are just talking about her. I don't know what she was in, though.
It's called Shiva Baby.
I haven't seen that.
It's I think it's like a 90-minute film.
Oh.
I did watch the trailer for it, and she does look very good in that. I think, like, she'll do more stuff, and I think she'll become more well-known. Well, she kind of is well-known in the entire Letterboxd.
She was fun in this. I liked it. Like,
especially because if you watch the Shiva Baby trailer and this, her characters are two completely different, so she has range.
Yeah.
But I like, by the end, I was like, I do like Alice, even though she's not a character I would technically like. I normally like, but there was just something about her. I was like, why'd you have to die?
Yeah. I remember, like, accidentally seeing the ending for this movie, like, last month. No, it was because of Twitter, and it was like, this is the best movie ending in a while, and as soon as I saw it was Bodies, 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 I skipped. Like, I'm like, I don't need to see it. I just knew, like, it was outside and that Sophie lived, and I couldn't remember who the other girl was, so the entire time I was thinking it was Alice for some reason.
Oh, okay.
So when she died, I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
So then B made it out alive with her, I'm like, okay.
Gotcha. I did think it was funny. The one scene that I always keep thinking about is when they're going, Pete's in the gym, and I think they just killed him, and they're like, well, he's a vet. And Alice is like, what are you talking about? He's a veterinarian. And I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, that was good, actually. I did like that one. But it's definitely weird that he had like a prepared bag. It's like, I guess he's being the responsible adult and preparing for the hurricane. See, like, I'm glad. Okay, so I was worried that the entire time they were just going to make him the murderer. Because I'm like, that's just too predictable. Of course you're going to make it the guy that nobody knows.
Yeah.
So then they didn't, and I was happy about that. But, like, they also kept bringing up Max a lot. And I didn't like that because we never met him until, I'm assuming he's the guy in the very last scene. But I'm like, why are we bringing up this Max guy? Like, I'm so confused.
It is.
Like, I don't know. I get why people like this movie. It's fun and, like, lesbians, but...
Yeah.
I don't think it deserved the hype.
It said it was gonna... People are like, this is, like, the new generation called classic. And I feel like you can't define that yet.
No. You can definitely say there are movies that, like, you could see being, like, iconic for future generations and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like something like Lady Bird will be huge for future generations looking back. And, like, I have a kid one day and they're like, oh my god, I just watched this movie Lady Bird. I'm like, oh, haha, I remember when that came out in the awards circuit kind of thing. Like, that kind of stuff. You can't say something's a cult classic.
Yeah.
Also, cult classic is, like, something that didn't get appreciated at first and only has like a small fan base group.
Exactly.
And this has a very big fan base that I don't quite understand, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about it point by point and then kind of discuss it a bit?
I don't even know where to go from point by point.
Because, like, I feel like I just have a lot of... I just finished it, like, I guess, like, 3 hours ago. So, it's all very fresh in my mind. So I feel like
Mine's not, so you gotta steer this conversation.
Do we want to talk about point by point, or do we just want to talk about it?
I guess just talk about it.
I'm down to just
I
talk
don't
about
really remember point by point.
I was kind of confused at the beginning because why were B and Sophie just making out in the woods?
Yeah.
When Sophie had a car?
Yeah.
Like, why did we have to go see B walk away to go pee? Like, I just didn't get that whole opening. I also don't think their relationship was set up enough either.
I was confused as how there was a hurricane where they were.
Yeah. I really didn't get a lot of this movie. Why did it have to be a hurricane?
Yeah.
So you could throw a hurricane party? Just say you're gonna have a party and then there's a rainstorm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, has the director done anything else? They've only done one other film. Yeah. Weird.
But I feel like that's what A24 does. I feel like
they're primarily an actor, yeah. I don't know. Like, I think part of it is I wanted to like this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so then when it didn't live up to the expectations I had heard and seen, I was disappointed.
Okay, so just a quick back thing. Remember when you said it felt like a 2012, 2013? For some reason that made me think of The Bling Ring.
Okay.
So the girl that plays Alice has a letterbox, and one of her top movies is The Bling Ring. Can you get that from her character? Because that's what I got.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can definitely see that.
That's so funny.
Yeah, honestly, nobody was very likable. And I think that's what made it so hard. I don't really think you're supposed to really like any of them.
No.
Because, like, I think the whole point is that you're not supposed to trust anybody in this, and then... But I also feel like you're seeing everything from the eyes of Sophie and B, and it's not really, like, a accurate representation of everybody.
Yeah.
So it's like you're just kind of hating who they hate or don't trust.
Definitely.
I don't know. I feel like we have very unpopular opinions.
I don't think I really trusted any of them.
No. The only one...
I trusted Alice.
I was gonna say I trust Alice just because I feel like she was a little too ditzy to pull this off and not give herself away.
Yeah.
There was that whole plot point about them all just being on coke. And, like, I just don't understand why that was a thing. Also, Sophie does a line and drinks, and there was a very pointed thing, a whole conversation about her just coming back from rehab.
Yeah,
why was that glossed over?
Really didn't like, because what was it? I mean, from being in the Riverdale fandom, remember when FP drank and everyone freaked out? Like, this girl's doing hardcore drugs after rehab.
And nobody cares.
Yeah.
And like, I get it, we're in a life or death situation here, or so we thought, but, like...
Still, and I think she even mentioned that with her friends. Oh, no, she did, in her conversation with Jordan, and she's like, all of you were doing drugs in front of me and acting like I didn't just get out of rehab. Yeah. And then they started playing the victim card themselves, and I was like, I think that is the whole reason where I kind of lost it. I was like, this is a little too much.
Yeah.
But that's further along. Let's stick to the beginning right now.
Yeah, so then the like Sophie and B just, like, show up to this party. And I think Alice is the only one who's, like, excited to see her because Alice is the only half-decent person in this movie besides her boyfriend, who I actually kind of liked.
Yeah.
I didn't want to see him go.
Neither did I.
He was the only, like, normal, level-headed one.
He was.
But, like, so Alice is actually excited to see Sophie. Emma kind of gives her, like, a weird look. Jordan is very, like, nah kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And also, before going in, B goes back to the car to get zucchini bread for the party. And then also, like, is looking in the mirror or something and leaves the lights on. I'm like, this is going to come back.
Yeah.
But also, can you train a car battery that fast? I don't know, but...
Yeah, no, you can.
Okay. But yeah, I knew that was going to come back, but, like, also, like, I don't know. That just, like, felt really suspicious, and, like, I feel like they were setting B up to be this, like, red herring, and it just, like, never fully worked, I don't think.
No, I think she was just...
I don't know if it was the actress or the character. I just didn't really like them.
Neither did
I don't know if it was just, like, the way they were written, but it was, like, they were almost too timid, and then when they tried to be, like, a hard ass, it didn't work. And when they tried to be intimidating or scary, it didn't work. And then when they tried to be sweet and innocent, it didn't work. And I'm just like, hey, there's no balance with this character here.
No, it was very much all over the place.
Yeah. Jordan, also, if we're talking about characters that, like, reminded us of other characters, Jordan reminded me a lot of Rachel from The Wilds. Like, just very set in her ways. Like, her way only. She's the one who's right. And, like, kind of just took control of the situation.
Wait, you have to refresh me. Which one's Rachel?
The twin.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
The diver, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. She just kind of reminded me of her. Also, I feel like she kind of looked like her, so that's probably also why.
Yeah, no, I got that vibe too. Yeah, she wanted to be like the ringleader. And really wasn't. If I was stranded on an island and she was my leader, I would have left the island. I would start swimming.
Me too.
Yeah. And then,
oh yeah, but then I don't even know what, like, happens. At some point, David calls Sophie into the other room, and then they're talking. And I think this is supposed to be like, oh, haha, they've been friends for so long, but there is no chemistry between Pete Davidson and...
No.
Is it Amanda?
Emma?
No, I'm trying to think of the actress's name.
Oh.
I think it's Amanda Stenberg. Correct? Yes, Amanda Stenberg. She played Rue in The Hunger Games. So then when her and Sophie were just like, or when her and B were just laying in the grass, I'm like, oh my god, I'm having flashbacks. I don't know if you ever, I was going to say, I don't know if you've ever seen it. But yeah. But I think, like, they were supposed to have, like, a lot of chemistry and, like, act like they're best friends, but I did not get that vibe even in the slightest. Yeah. And she's like, did you talk to my parents yet? And I'm like, what? Oh, it was supposed to be about her trust fund. But, like, that wasn't dropped till later either.
No.
I don't know. I just feel like they should have maybe put this script through some more editing.
Yeah. I get they were trying to make it like a slow burn mystery kind of thing.
I feel like
a little too slow.
A little bit. Yeah, I feel like they tried to make it kind of like Scream, but maybe focused a little too hard on that.
I can see that.
And I wish they would have mainly focused more on the game, because, like, how are you gonna game a movie, bodies, play the game for like a minute, and then just not do it again?
I did like the fake out that
no, that was
his name is Pete, right? Why do I feel like that's wrong now?
I have no idea. Hold on. His name is Greg.
Greg. Never mind. Really thought he was dead.
Yeah.
So he did a great job playing.
He did. I wish.
Yeah,
I wish they would have let him be dead.
Yeah.
Because I think that was a better plot twist. And also, he wasn't an important enough character for it to really matter if he did die, and it was just like a good setup for, oh my god, who could this be? Although I'm kind of glad it was Pete Davidson's character instead. Yes. I did not want to deal with him being a detective. No offense to Pete Davidson, his character was just fucking annoying.
It was. Now that we're talking more about this movie, it reminds me a lot of Clue. So I need you to go watch that now.
Yes,
and
I will.
It's the better Clue's the better version. It's the blueprint.
I haven't even seen it, and I know that it is.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's very much like Clue, but like obviously very modernized. And with teenagers. No, teenagers, it's literally Clue.
Are like actually adults.
Yeah.
But like feel like they're teenagers.
They're teenagers.
Also, it's only 94 minutes long, and it felt long. Like, this is a fairly short movie.
Yeah. No, it felt really long.
Also, they're all supposed to be very wealthy, and I did not get that vibe except for the house.
No.
So apparently that was a big plot point, but like I wouldn't have even drawn that.
Well, then I remembered, but then during like the ending, they said Jordan's family's middle class.
Yeah.
Were comfortable.
But that's not until late.
Yeah.
Middle class, and then I think she also said comfortable. But like that isn't until like the last 20 minutes of the movie, so like this is all dropped on us, and I'm like, what? Like I don't really know how you're supposed to show that, but if the whole point was to be like about class and everything, then I feel like it could have been done.
But it really wasn't that point because.
Yeah, so I don't know why it was even brought in.
Maybe it played a factor a little bit, but not as much as.
I know they at one point say that Sophie's rich, and that's probably why B is with her.
Yeah, I think so.
So I don't know if that was meant to like set up them not trusting her.
I think so. Especially because then B started telling lies that she went to like a public university. Or private university. I think Utah is a public university.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. I feel like the majority of the time was taken up of killing off Greg.
I don't even think it was that. I think it was more. That did take a while, but I feel like it was just a lot of setup that didn't need to be there.
Yeah, it's that too.
Way too long to get into the actual game.
Yeah, it took about half hour, 40 minutes?
Yeah.
Which is half the movie.
And then when they do play the game, it lasts maybe 5 minutes, if that. And that had a lot of potential to be a really good, scary part. Mm-hmm. Like, it's them all crawling around on their hands and knees with only flashlights.
Yeah.
Like, that worked well. Like, when Greg, like, pokes his head down and, like, scares B, like, that actually kind of got me for a second. I'm like, oh. Yeah. And, like, I don't know why they didn't just use that to their advantage more, but there's a lot of things I don't understand about this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, they play the game. Then Greg goes to bed early. Also, hang on. Was there a reason that they all had to slap each other before this game?
Oh, yeah, I was really confused by that too. I think they were just taking shots in between each round.
Okay, I don't get why they had to slap each other though.
I guess so, like, to know if they were drunk. Because I feel like, obviously, once you start getting slapped and you're drunk, you stop feeling it after a while. That's why, I guess.
That was stupid anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Greg goes to bed because of a little fight with with David. Then David fights with Emma and goes to bed. And then the power goes out. And so they're all looking. What do they look? They're looking for David. Because they want to know if there's like a generator or something, I think.
Yeah.
But then B is walking around and David like runs up to the window and like smacks against it and he's bleeding profusely. And then she screams, Sophie comes in, runs out to help him, then everybody just goes into chaos mode. Which, like, rightfully so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, I would have been panicking.
Also, you know what I'm thinking now? This is like a mild spoiler, I guess, but they find David's phone at the end, but it's like pretty far away. Wouldn't it have just been with where the machete was? Because they find the machete like immediately. And he was making a TikTok, so wouldn't the phone be near the machete and his body?
Maybe with the hurricane it blew away? I don't really know.
I guess that would be logical.
But I feel like a wind can't really blow a phone that far. But I could be wrong. It's a hurricane. Whatever, man.
I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't even know what they do then. Hold on. They find David.
Oh, they
Find the machete. Oh, they go try to get in the car for help, which is kind of pointless at this point, considering he has bled out all over the stone. But then they think it might be Greg. Oh yeah, the battery on the car is dead.
Yeah.
They left the light on.
Uh-huh.
But then they think it's Greg who's the killer because it's Greg.
Yeah. And he's a vet?
Yeah, he's a vet. But because Alice hasn't known him very long, they think it's him. So then they go through the room.
She also started listing off like all his like astrological. He's a Libra moon. He just wouldn't do it. I was like, oh my god, I love her.
Yeah, no, I actually like really liked her.
Yeah.
But yeah, they think it's him. They find a go bag. It has like a map on it, and he circled the house that they're at. He has a knife. He has like all this stuff, and like it's a hurricane kit basically.
Like. It's a little excessive hurricane kit.
He's
not going like in the forest.
Yeah, you know what? I don't really get that part, but it set up stuff. But then they go find him, and he's in the mansion's gym, which looks like a high school gym. And he has seasonal depression, as Alice says, and he's using his light therapy mask. Yeah. But yeah, then they go like wake him up with like knives and everything, and they're questioning him, and he thinks they're still playing the game. And then I don't even know what happens, but they all start like fighting with him, and then B hits him in the back of the head with like a dumbbell kind of thing.
I thought it was like a cast iron skillet.
On here it says a kettlebell.
Okay, that could be right.
It says it's a cast iron ball.
Kettlebell. Okay. That makes sense as well.
But yeah, he dies fairly quickly.
B goes ham.
Yeah. Then it's just a lot of like. Then it comes back to them saying, oh my god, maybe it was Max. Who the hell was Max? We should have got introduced to him earlier or seen like a flashback to the night before at some point so we know who he was, because this just felt like some random character, which I guess he was.
I really didn't even remember a mention of Max. But actually, no, I did. So I think I then started trying to take account for every single character, and I was like, but then I decided just to give up.
Yeah. Yeah, they think it's B at some point. This is when they talk about how she's not on record and anything, and they send her outside. And then she finds, so earlier in the movie, B had found a bra of Jordan's and was like looking at it. So then when she's out in the hurricane, she goes out to the car and finds the matching underwear to the bra. And she's like, well, that's a little suspicious. After she sniffs them, which is very weird.
Yeah.
I'm like, girl, what are you doing?
No, thank you.
No, that was awesome. But then when she's like going back to the house, she sees Jordan getting a gun. And so she walks in and she accuses Jordan of having the gun. And Jordan's like, what the fuck? No, I don't have a gun.
Missed Emma dying.
Yeah, Emma dies.
Like, we're a little too fast forward.
Yeah, sorry. There's just a lot of accusing each other that I skipped over. Yeah, at some point... Yeah, it says Sophie relapses. And then she, like, offers pills to Emma, and then Emma kisses her.
Yeah.
Or she offers pills after Emma kisses her, but she's like, Emma's like, I thought that's what you wanted. Where did that come from?
Yeah, no. But maybe because she was high.
Maybe. I don't know, maybe she was with David because she had a thing for Sophie. That was, like, my only logical explanation.
Maybe.
But then, yeah, Emma's dead because she had a head wound at the bottom of the stairs, so everybody's just like, oh, she must have fell. Someone must have pushed her. I had flashback to the staircase in Miss Toni Collette.
Of course.
Yeah. But also, like, there's a lot of, like, just, like, random blood splotches, like, everywhere on those stairs, and, like, how did you just assume she fell? Because, like, I would have assumed she got, like, stabbed and there was a struggle. Yeah. Because there's blood on one wall, blood further up the stairs, blood on the stairs, like, just a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, B crawls in, like, after, so she sees the bra in the back seat or whatever, or the underwear in the back seat, then sees Jordan holding a gun, and then she crawls in through a pet door, which is fun.
Was it a pet door or was it, like, a secret passage?
I thought it was a secret passageway. This says a pet door.
Okay.
So, then it says she confronts the group, explains, like, all of her story, how she dropped out of college to take care of her mother who has borderline personality disorder. And I didn't really agree with much that Jordan said, but she did say that it was a red flag that borderline personality disorder runs in B's family, and I'm like, yeah, agreed. Because, like, not to, like, diminish somebody's mental health that they can't control, but, like, maybe that should be a red flag when you're trying to figure out who's killing somebody.
I felt like that was also just a very out of, like, left field storyline.
Yeah, like, I'm like, you couldn't, like, I don't know, man. Then, so then B asks Jordan to empty her pockets, which she does, and she was the killer in Bodies, Bodies, Bodies in the game. So then they're like, oh my god, maybe you're actually the killer.
Mm-hmm.
Which she isn't, but then they all get in a fight, and Jordan does pull a gun, and then just more fighting, and then shoots Alice in the leg.
Yeah.
Which felt very much like Scream 5.
Yes.
That's all I could think of. And then so Alice is freaking out. I'm sorry, it should not have been so funny when someone got shot in the leg, but she was just so dramatic.
No. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, everybody's... Okay, this says they express resentment for Sophie due to her drug addiction and using David to regain access to her trust fund. Like, again, just like another storyline that kind of feels a little pulled out of their ass.
Yeah. And that's when, what was it, Jordan was like, I had to go to therapy because I had PTSD. Because I had to bring you to the hospital after you OD'd multiple times. I was like, yeah, I get that's pretty traumatic. But, like, your friend also has a drug problem, and you did drugs in front of her tonight.
Yeah. This feels very much like Euphoria.
Yeah.
Trying to be a horror movie.
I can see that.
And not doing it well.
No.
Just give Euphoria a Halloween episode. I don't know.
Oh my god, that'd be actually really good.
Right?
Well, they kind of did.
Yeah, I guess so. Then she could really be Oklahoma.
Yes.
But then Yeah, also, if Jordan, like, has so much PTSD from Sophie, why did you sleep with her?
Well, did she? I was really annoyed at that.
I think she did. Because, like, why else is her underwear in the backseat? Unless maybe she planted that.
Jordan seems like a conniving little bitch.
I know, I'm trying to figure out which one it was. Oh, so the reason that Alice gets shot is because this is when, they all say that Jordan only listens to Alice's podcast. Personally, as someone who runs a podcast, I think Alice should have been the one to shoot Jordan in the leg.
Yeah.
A podcast is hard work.
It is.
It's a lot of hard work. Do you know how long it takes us to set up? Like 5 whole minutes. It's ridiculous. You don't understand. But then Alice starts like calling out Jordan's insecurities and all this, and I think that's when Jordan starts saying how like she has like PTSD and everything because of Sophie. Shoots Alice in the leg, and then there's a struggle for the gun, which I get it, you're all panicked in the moment, but could someone not have just been like, okay, can we put the gun on safety?
Yeah.
Maybe use your head a little bit, put that on safety. But then they're all like struggling over it, and Alice gets shot through the head, or like up through the chin or whatever, and it was very upsetting. I was not happy about that. Yeah, so she gets fatally shot in the throat. I was really hoping it wasn't going to be her.
Yeah.
Anyway. Then Sophie and Jordan are fighting. Jordan's following them all around with a gun. And then B ends up pushing Jordan over the staircase, like banister, and she falls down and dies. But first she tells B to check Sophie's text messages.
Mm-hmm.
And then B and Sophie go running because Jordan is just like willy-nilly firing off this gun. And then B and Sophie hide in a closet together, and then B all of a sudden gets scared of Sophie. I guess because Sophie lies to her.
Yeah.
Which, like, yeah. But then, yeah, they hide from each other. And then morning comes. And this is the one time the movie actually had my interest peaked.
Okay.
So yeah, morning comes. Sophie tells B that she relapsed and that she witnessed Emma falling down the stairs to her death, which, like, and then she says that she didn't say anything because she didn't think anyone would believe her.
Okay, she said that Emma fell down. I thought she said she pushed Emma.
No, I think she said she fell, but she didn't think anybody would believe her if she said that she fell. Like, she saw her fall.
Okay, I got the vibe that she pushed her.
I think she might have pushed her.
Okay.
I don't really trust Sophie.
No, me either. Yeah, I thought she pushed her.
I don't trust anybody in this movie except for Alice, and she's dead.
For real. Yeah.
Although I did like Emma. I didn't mind her.
No, she didn't.
She didn't really do anything, though, so it was easy to not hate her.
Yeah.
Yeah, then B, like, pulls a gun on her and wants to see the text. And, like, Sophie, like, tosses her phone. And then they fight, and then she somehow gets a hold of David's phone instead. And in the most, like, just 20s kind of thing, they just walk over, open up this dead guy's eyes to Face ID him to get into his phone. And it's a TikTok that's up. And it's him doing a dance, and he's trying to... So earlier... What did we say his name was? Greg? Greg had taken the machete and popped the cork of a champagne bottle. So in this TikTok, David is trying to do the same thing. And he starts swinging it, and at one point he just accidentally himself in the neck. And so, it wasn't a murder after all.
They basically all killed each other because they all actually hate each other.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. I was also trying to figure out, so David killed himself. B killed Greg.
Yes.
Sophie killed Emma.
Yeah. Jordan killed Alice. B killed Jordan.
Okay. So the only one that didn't kill anyone was Alice and Emma.
And Greg, but...
I liked Greg.
I know. I kind of wanted him to stick around.
Yeah.
I do think that was a good plot twist.
Yeah, it was. Very 2020, like, modern plot twist.
But I also kind of hate that very last line. You hated that too?
Wait, what was last line? I was gonna say I kind of hated that, the fact that it was a TikTok thing.
That too. But no, the whole last line is just Max coming to the mansion being like, what's going on? Then B starts getting a bunch of, like, dings on her phone, is like, I have reception. And then it ends. And I'm like, that's fucking stupid.
Yeah, no, that was a little weird.
I wish it would have just ended with them just, like, staring blankly at Max.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was a better ending.
Yeah.
That's the whole plot of the movie, though. Does it sound like there wasn't a lot going on? Because there wasn't. It was just a lot of fighting and yelling at each other.
So much fighting.
Yeah. Like, I wanted to like this movie so much. It seemed so fun by the trailers, and it just immensely let me down.
Yeah.
And I think it had potential to be, like, a really good summer horror movie. And it just did not live up to it.
If it was actually bodies, and they kept playing the actual game instead of multiple killers.
Also, at some point, I thought there was going to be a demon.
I think that.
I thought, like, maybe Max was, like, a demon or something. And bodies, the reason everybody was dying is not because they were killing each other, but because the ghost was there.
Okay, I definitely did not think that.
No, I don't blame you. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think the moral of the story is don't trust the rich and don't trust friends because they will backstab you. Literally and figuratively.
I just...
Like, after I thought about it and, like, that being, like, the actual storyline of it, I was like, okay, like, maybe, like, I'll up it a little bit.
Yeah.
But this has a close to 4-star rating. Like, it's not good.
I agree with your rating, because I think it's, like, a fun movie.
Yeah.
I love the idea of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was executed well enough, and I think the characters ruined it majorly.
Yeah.
But I guess also they were meant to be annoying. Like, I don't think you're supposed to root for anybody in this.
Definitely not. I don't want to say it's the actor's fault, but...
It was kind of the actor's fault. But there was also a Letterboxd review that said... So I was reading them as I was watching this just to see if anybody agreed with me, and nobody really does. But they're like... This is it has a great cast, but shit characters. Like, something like that. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on.
I'm gonna go with great cast.
I know, that's what I thought. It's like, it's not bad, but...
No, they're not awful.
Insert the Jeopardy music right here as I try to find this. I cannot find it. Yeah, I can't find it. Does so much for people with a podcast mood. Yeah. Oh, wait, maybe it was a...
Oh, I only gave it 3 stars. I don't know why I thought I gave it 3.
Yes, sorry. Major cons, someone said, who I, like, follow or whatever. They said the most likable cast playing the most unlikable characters, all of them.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, their whole thing, it says... So they gave it 1.5 stars. They said, unpopular opinion alert. I was bored. How did no one tell me this was going to be so boring? Easy twists, cheap humor, obvious desperate attempt to reach instant cult classic status. This movie was vapid and exhaustingly self-aware, and I'm sad about it. In fact, I take all of the missed opportunities personally. Major pros was the cast, the bomb soundtrack, and the ending. Major cons was the most likable cast playing the most unlikable characters, all of them. Only 3 minutes of bomb soundtrack being used. Absolute flop of a second act. Dialogue, embarrassing. Lighting and camera work, bare minimum. And they said 1.5 stars for 3 pros, but it would be impossible to squeeze another half out of me. It wasn't smart, engaging, memorable, or even the kind of thing I'd play in the background while I'm stoned and needing something mindless. The characters were trying too hard to be the voice of a generation they're not part of, and the press leading up to this was more fun than the product itself. Pass.
He just spit straight facts.
Yeah. They went hard.
They did. Like,
yeah.
I get that it's supposed to be fun, but
it
like
wasn't.
when it got the hype that it did, I was expecting like a new generation of horror thing, and it just really wasn't.
Yeah. I was expecting something in the vein of Scream, which I guess is my own thing, but I was expecting like a dark comedy kind of thing. This would have been better with a demon. Give me a movie about light as a feather, stiff as a board, though, because that is a game that would be really good as a movie.
That would be.
And that's where you bring in demons.
My word, cast.
Yeah, I think this is like the first time I can't even say I like the cinematography, because there really wasn't any. The soundtrack wasn't even that great to me either. Like, again, it felt like 2014.
Yes. Hold on, I just found a review that agrees with my clue thing. This movie said, this movie felt like a bunch of people went, hey, why don't we make a movie, without putting a super ton of thought into it. It was shot well, the actors were decent, including a standout performance from Rachel Sennett. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. The girl. The movie was so self-aware. Characters regret they didn't film something. Meanwhile, it really was filmed and the audience actually got to see it. LOL. Some mystery is set up, but none of the characters are likable. They all hate each other, and no one really does anything to gain an ounce of sympathy. They really all could have been off, and at one point I was expecting that to actually happen. I've never been shot before. Overall, this film felt like a modern coked out Clue.
Interesting.
It really did.
Yeah. I feel like there was something I was going to say about this. Oh my god, there was something right on the tip of my tongue. I don't know what it was, but you said something and then it sparked something in my head. I don't know. Oh, no, I remember now. I wish they would have made all the characters like each other, because I think it would have had a way more emotional impact when they eventually started turning on each other and not trusting each other.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been a little bit better.
Yeah, also, like, when David died, and we're supposed to watch Sophie, like, be so scared over him, like, she didn't even look like she cared. Like, were there no chemistry readings on this movie?
Maybe not.
Usually that's a pretty big plot point when you're making a movie.
It is.
I've never made a movie, but I don't know. Just my thoughts.
Yeah, like, all these are like 3.5 and up reviews, and everyone likes it. And I get, like, are they Gen Z? Like, this is an instant cult classic in lesbian cinema. I love how it's camp and satirical. No, satirical. I can't.
Satirical.
Thank you.
Welcome.
And funny, and has women exploring each other's bodies in more than one way. First off, I did not get that.
No.
Like, I think
I wanted a bit more gay.
Yeah.
I feel baited.
A little bit. I mean, like, obviously Sophie and B, but like
they weren't even cute together.
No.
Someone said he was a Libra moon.
Yes.
And then someone else said Agatha Christie's Euphoria.
Yes, actually. Someone said maybe it made me realize that maybe I'm too old for this shit, and I agree.
Apparently the director called it Lord of the Flies meets Mean Girls.
Okay, I can see the Lord of the Flies aspects.
Yeah. Maybe this is a movie I'd like more if I ever rewatch it, but...
Yeah. This is why I can't read reviews or listen to anyone's opinions on a movie before I see it for myself, because then I overhype it in my head.
Yeah. And the hype never really died for it. Like, I don't think I've seen anything negative about it.
No.
I've had a podcast waiting for when I watch this movie, so I'm excited to see what they say. Because they're like 2 30-year-olds. So I wonder how they'll feel about it.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Oh my god, wait. This review says, the bling ring sister, Spring Breaker's coked out cousin, Jennifer Body's annoying friend. It's not even fully possible to convey how much I love this through a digital medium or any really, but I'll try with a list of things that make me adore this dark, gleaming jewel. Okay, this is a long list, but I just liked how they said that it reminded them of the bling ring. They had a 4 star, so I knew it was gonna be a decent review. And we're not looking for them, we're looking for the shit ones.
Yeah. What Pete Davidson does at the end of this movie is the most Pete Davidson thing Pete Davidson can do.
Yes.
Someone said Among Us if it was yes, slay, cunty, pussy, gay girl, hot girl, pop girl. I don't really know what that means, but yeah, Among Us. It does kind of feel like Among Us.
Yeah, the top comment is A24's Among Us.
No, I'm having so many flashbacks to when we played Among Us and we were just getting so many fights over who the murderer is. Maybe this movie is exactly what it is.
It is.
I'm having so many flashbacks to us starting a whole other group chat.
You know what? Maybe this is the director's Among Us game.
Maybe.
I can see that. If you look at it from that standpoint, when you're in
if we're looking at it from that, if we're looking at this from that standpoint, this is a 5-star movie.
2020
I was
COVID,
in this situation.
Haven't been out of your house in 4 months, and you download this little game called Among Us, and it turns into fighting, and then you finally decide you want to play it with your friends in real life, and this is how it turns out to be.
Jeez, I can give you first-hand knowledge. That is exactly what Among Us turns into.
Yeah.
I got canceled.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good times.
Also, it's kind of unrealistic though if that's what they're doing, because why was no one teaming up? We would team up.
Yeah.
Why did no one cheat? Someone said I literally created an account here just so I could rate this awful movie.
Stop.
Also, if you filter by lowest rated, all of them are in a different language at first.
Oh, interesting.
So I'm trying to find ones that are in English that I understand.
This one says, a strong first 50 minutes are somewhat let down by a too long and kind of repetitive section in the middle and towards the end.
It is repetitive.
But then one of the best surprise endings I have seen in the horror genre appears to leave you on a high. Bodies could have been better, but it's a good entertainment, perfect for Halloween. It makes me really happy for A24 because we need this kind of variety in movies right now. More ideas like this, please.
I think that sums up how I feel about this pretty well.
It's not that I hate it.
No.
But it was good. But I wanted
it could have been better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel we're definitely in the unpopular opinion of this one.
For
I feel
sure.
we're not unpopular opinion in a lot of things, but definitely this one.
A lot. I feel like this has been a really, like, as a horror movie fan, this has been a really good year for horror, but it hasn't all been good. Like, it's been a good year for how unique all the ideas have been and how much of it there has been, but, like, the sheer volume, but just they've been pretty hit or miss.
Yeah.
Like, X I thought was amazing. Pearl was great, but, like, not wonderful, I guess.
Yeah.
And then The Black Phone, I was kind of disappointed by.
Yeah.
This I was kind of disappointed by. Smile, I'm half and half. I just saw that last night. I liked it, but it was like very reminiscent of other stuff too. So like it's a good year for like as much of it as there is, but it isn't all good.
Do you feel like there is like a middle ground for her? Like I feel like it's either it works or it doesn't work. I feel like there's no in between.
No, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I also feel like you either have a good scary movie or you have like a campy, silly movie that's supposed to be a little spooky.
Okay.
Like that's how I feel about this kind of, and also like I just watched such a bad example. This is gonna be so offensive to anybody who loves this movie. I just watched 2 of the Chucky movies of like the later franchise when he like gets a wife and everything, and they're so ridiculous, and I think they're still meant to be a little scary, but they're completely ridiculous and so like just over the top funny. And that's the vibe I get from this. Like I feel like they were aiming to make it a little suspenseful and scary, and it just isn't.
Really, I feel like they tried to veer into the camp.
I think they did, but I also think they tried to like have you in suspense a little bit.
Okay.
And like make you wonder like, oh my god, like who could it be? Like
Mhm.
My biggest thing for some reason is the Max thing. That's really bothering me. I don't know why he was such a big part of this.
Yeah, was he just a friend?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then he shows up at the end, and he looks older than Greg did, so...
Yeah.
I don't know why they were flaming Greg.
So true, so true.
Yeah.
So what's your now overall rating after our discussion?
It might still be a 2.5.
Okay.
I think the ending maybe bumps it up to a 3, but like as a whole, this isn't one I really feel like I care to see again.
Alice bumped up my rating.
Yeah.
Literally for her. Just for her.
No, maybe it is a 3. I don't like feel like I want to see it again, but I can see myself rewatching it at the same time. Like I don't desire to rewatch it, but like I feel like if it's something that's on, like maybe I'd watch it. And I do kind of want to wonder if I like would like it on a second watch. Maybe it is a 3. I'll go 3. I did like Alice. Everything I've watched this month pretty much has been a 3. Like have I rated anything lower or higher? I gave Smile 3.5.
Not bad.
Us got 3.5. The Final Girls got 4. Everything else is a 3. And then Chucky is a 2.
This I've got 3, 3.5, 2.
I do have a couple 2.5s.
3.5, 4. I feel like 3 and 3.5 are my favorite ratings.
Yeah. I kind of feel bad that I'm giving everything 3, but like that's a good rating.
Yeah.
Like that's a very middle ground.
Yeah, because it's between 1 and 5.
Well, yeah, but technically 2.5 is the middle ground. Like 3 is slightly better.
True.
I don't know.
I don't want to be like I don't expect every movie to blow me away, but I want to feel like I didn't just waste 2 hours watching this. And I don't feel that about Bodies. Like, no. I'm glad I watched it.
I'm glad I watched it at home.
Yes, definitely.
Maybe this would be a better theater experience, though. I don't know.
Maybe. Now
I also just don't think it should have been marketed as a horror movie. And it was marketed as a horror movie, right?
Yeah, I feel like it should be marketed as a scary movie. Like a parody.
Yeah, I could see that. I think it could have been a thriller. Not even a thriller, but like that's the best. Yeah, it says mystery or comedy.
Yeah, like a mystery thriller comedy kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now this makes me a little nervous for Barbarian when it comes out on digital.
I know. That one I don't have the highest hopes for, but just because everybody says they had no idea where it was going to go is what is having me on the edge of my seat, and I can't wait for it to come. Because we will hopefully be covering that.
Yeah, I wish it was coming out like a few days earlier. Like it has to come out the Tuesday.
Maybe it'll come out earlier. I don't know. That could be our last movie of the month, though. Oh, I guess if it comes out on Tuesday, never mind.
I don't record it on Tuesday, but I have to make sure I watch it on Tuesday.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe a bonus episode.
Maybe. Next week is
Sam's.
Halloween.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's what next week is. Next week is Halloween Ends.
Sam's gonna be really excited.
I'm so excited. Yeah, I apologize for how many times I speak over Alexie on next Friday.
I'm just gonna like sit here.
Yeah.
Like let Sam talk.
I will say going into it, I'm trying to have no expectations. I actually don't really have any expectations because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be disappointed. Like I'm pretty positive Lori's gonna die.
That'd be just so mean.
I know. I just have this nagging feeling because they've told us that we're not gonna like the ending, and I can't imagine what other ending there would be where I'm not going to like it.
I feel like
but I also
the
feel
franchise and still having Michael alive is annoying.
Yeah. Cause yeah, I also feel like why kill her off?
Yeah.
Like why put her through all of this just to kill her off in the end?
And she is the final girl, so like
the final
kill off the final girl.
She even posted a thing saying the final girl, the final mother, the final grandmother. And I'm like, yeah, you can't die on me.
Yeah.
You're my comfort character here.
Yeah.
One of them.
I feel like she's not going to die, but who knows? Who knows?
I don't know. I'm going in with some very low expectations because there's a whole copycat killer thing and Michael having an accomplice, and I don't really like that idea. But I'm seeing it a day early because it comes out a day early and I'm so excited. Although it premiered today, so I'm terrified I'm going to see spoilers.
No, I don't think you will.
I'm really hoping not.
You just have to be at the first viewing of the day.
I am. I'm going to the 5 o'clock showing. That's the earliest one.
Okay, good.
I made my mom like work around her work schedule just so we could go.
I love that.
Ugh.
I'll be watching it the next day on Peacock.
Yeah, you will. Yes, you will.
Thank you, Jamie Lee Curtis, for making sure it's on Peacock, so I don't have to go into the theater.
We love her. Jamie Lee Curtis, come on the podcast.
Yes.
I'll pay you.
Yeah. We don't have a lot, but we'll pay you.
We have connections. Macy. Girl, can you get Jamie on here?
Just tell her the story. I'm sure she'll remember.
Yeah. You helped me down a staircase like one time, like a while back.
Yeah.
Surely you remember me, right?
Yeah. She's down it. She has to.
She has to. How could you ever forget Macy? She's unforgettable, one of a kind.
She is. She looks like Reese Witherspoon's daughter. So like
exactly. Jamie probably said to her, Reese?
Yeah.
No, not Reese. No. Reese? Maybe. And that was probably how this went. So obviously they're BFFs.
They are. They're tight.
Also, Jamie. See? Macy is my resident fellow Jamie Lee Curtis stan. So I think we should just do an all joint podcast with Jamie Lee Curtis. We'll promote your charity, girl.
Always.
Yeah. myhandandyours.com. Go buy it all. They got hats. They got tumblers. They got wind chimes.
So weird.
Jamie Lee, I am your personal promoter.
Yes, you are.
I am. Okay, that's it. We're doing Halloween next week. This week was Bodies. We hope you enjoyed. I don't know what we're doing the rest of the month. We're doing spooky stuff, though. Yeah. But thank you for joining us on this episode of Enter the Fangirls. You can keep up with us on social media. Our Twitter is Enter Fangirls, and our YouTube and Instagram are Enter the Fangirls.
Make sure you follow us wherever you listen to your podcast, and we can't wait for you to join us on our next episode. Once again, I'm Lexie.
I'm Sam, and this has been Enter the Fangirls.